This is the second video. We'll be talking about natural pivots. So make sure to look at the first video, roughly discussing the pivot and the pivoting action and the difference between the two of them. So now I'm going to talk about some of the phrases that we hear that can be misleading. One of them is when we often say, well, when you go forward, you put power. Or when you go forward, you push off. Those things are true, but they have to be modeled in such a way that they're going to be efficient and not cause a problem. Some years ago in Blackpool, the theme was excellence, and almost everyone ended up talking about their preference for excellence was in how the body weight was transferred. And it was discussed by several coaches in Latin dancing, also in ballroom dancing. And they all talked about the sequence of the movement. That we move, you could say, I move in my imagination. If I move in my imagination, the reality is that it's part of the fall. I would say, do we fall in every dance? Well, we're not going to talk about tango right now because we don't have metronomic swing, which is a walking or progressive type of swing. And do we technically have it in Latin? Well, the truth is that from the ankles, we allow our weight to begin to move forward, which causes the leg to activate and move. So we do allow our poise to shift in the direction that we're going to move. And that could be called a fall, because technically walking is falling from our center of gravity. So we have to be careful with that. Obviously, you don't want to ever fall from here. But falling from the ankles would be that I would keep my upright posture. My poise would now change. My poise is the relationship or angle of my body to the floor. You can see that I'm poising my weight in different directions. So we poise our weight forward, or we release the fall, we release the weight, we commence to move, however you want. Think about it. That is the first thing. And everyone talked about this in their lectures. You must do that first. That automatically incorporates a swing in our leg because we don't want to fall down. If I allow my weight to drift to the right, my leg will automatically catch my weight. If I allow my weight to go back, my leg will move. Now, I'm not doing that with a great deal of dance integrity right now, but just to get the point across. So we must allow the weight to move. The leg will react with the weight. So when you hear the phrases like body over feet, it doesn't mean that, okay, my body's over my foot, and now I will leap to my foot so that my body is over the foot. So again, that can be misunderstood. As I begin to fall, my leg begins to move. So my body is over my base. My base is becoming wider, and I will at some point be tracking along in the triangle position of the V. But my body is over my feet, but not over a foot. It will now become over a foot, move on, and then go through the triangle and so on. The very last phase, and this is true in our normal walking, we don't think about it, is the push-off phase. And the push-off phase is when the weight rolls through the foot and it rolls diagonally across the foot through the big toe. That is a normal, healthy walking gait. We do that also in dancing. Now, that's something we sometimes talk about also, that, well, when we dance, we don't walk in the normal fashion because we move across our feet rather than straight through our feet. But in reality, that's not completely true. Even when we walk, our weight moves diagonally across our foot. We're just not aware of it, and we don't manipulate it like we would in dancing or even in sports where we have to move laterally. We're more aware of our feet. So where is the push-off phase? The weight is released, the leg swings, and the push-off is the last phase. Now, we talked about this before when we talked about the forward drive in the swing dances, in the foxtrot and the waltz. Now, you're not jumping from foot to foot, and you're not necessarily just pushing from feet. Of course, the foot is what's connected to the floor. We do push, but we're actually using the muscles around the hips and the thighs and then it has a feeling of increasing pressure through the feet. The truth is we're adding that muscular activity, and as the weight is rolling through the foot, it feels like it has more pressure because the surface area is becoming smaller. The reason I'm saying this is that many people misunderstand this, or they're only instructed in pushing off. And that's why we have people pushing into forward walks, pushing into backward walks, and it's very heavy. The weight is transferred without control. And in a pivot, we have people lunging at their partners because they're pushing off. So now for Rich, we had our lesson this morning, and I think you were able to correct that pretty well. When I saw you pushing from a standstill, that's where you're getting the body rock, and that's where you would attack your partner. And I could see the difference when you allowed yourself to roll and then push. So the main thing I want to talk about here is particularly, well, I should say it's on both ends, but particularly the forward part is where people have a tendency to drive at their partner. On the next video, we'll talk about, as the man, how you're encouraging your lady to move out of your path and into your arm. And we'll talk about, for the ladies, how you're assisting for your partner to move around you, because we both have to do our part. But I want to talk about the push-off on the back end, okay, on the pivot. I don't want to push here. I want to allow my weight to move. I want my leg to move into position. And at the last moment, I'm going to feel that strong connection in the back of my leg moving out of the heel. It's important it's in that order. Begin to move. Open the leg. Push off at the last moment. And keep the energy in the back of your leg while you're doing the pivot. Don't try to just have a dead leg and go, and don't try to jump off the leg. Now we're going to the forward part. So I'll take the ladies' frame for the moment here. So I'm going to go from heel to ball to toe. We won't talk too much about the curve in the body right now, but we're moving through, and as my weight is going to the toe, you can see that my free leg, my kicking of the ball, as we talked about in the last video, is already happening. So by the time that I get to the front of my foot, I'm well into kicking the ball into that corner. So I'm opening, swinging my leg past my partner or around my partner. People like to say through the partner, around the partner, past the partner, however it makes sense to you. I cannot directly go through my partner. I will keep my body connected to my partner, but I'm aware that our edges are passing each other. But that push off, when I'm moving from this foot to this foot, I'm not going to shove from a standstill. We will talk about in the next video also the renewal of the juice in the standing leg. It's not technically a push, it's a preparation. There, see, I'm moving my thigh forward. So there is something happening in the leg. We would not say that that's a push until it manifests itself there, where I'm going to now push from this foot. Okay, so have more of a sense of absorbing here. Again, we're not going to talk just yet about the difference of the ladies' action. Absorbing, helping myself to move. And now as I push off from this foot, I'm also going to feel projection out of my free leg, moving forward and moving around my partner. So this goes for the walk, and it goes for the pivots. You could say pivots are walking steps forward and back that turn. It's not completely true because we need to allow that sideways action to happen more when we're pivoting around each other and there's a leg in there, but it's basically right. And in either case, the push off is the last phase. Move the weight, open the leg, and push using the big hip muscles. When you're moving forward, you will go all the way through the big toe. When you're moving backward, you feel a strong use of the back of the leg. So let's leave it at that for this second video. So as you practice your pivots, now you can add in the appropriate time to develop the push-off.